Okay, so when we deal with weighted mean, there's going to be two cases. I'll tell you straight up front already. One is percentages. And the other one deals with repetition. Or you can think of it as no percentages. You can think of it that way. That is going to be on page 44. So that comes later. And weighted mean, it kind of tells you already that some categories will be weighted differently. They'll have a different weight. So in weighted mean, data points are not all equal in value. For example, a teacher may assign different weights of a student grade. Assignments might be worth 45% of the final grade, quizzes 15, and the remaining 40, right? The exam would be worth the remaining 40%. We don't do that anymore nowadays. The maximum of the exam can be is 20%. But if you go to post-secondary, you're going to soon find out that that's not the case. So, weighted mean involving percentages, right? So if you ever deal with percentages, you want to be thinking of this box here. When there's a table of percentages, you want to check to see if a row or column adds up to 100%. If the answer is yes, we will divide our final sum by 100. That's the thing you need to remember about weighted mean, and that's how I teach it, okay? Whenever you have weighted mean, you're going to have different categories, most often a table, and I want you to get mad when you see one of these, okay? And the reason why is this. Steps. Just write it down on the side because I just came up with that recently, okay? So the first thing is multiply. That's the M for mad, okay? The second step is add. And the third is divide. Right? You want to get mad. Okay, so, and I have three different colors that I'm going to use, not right away, but as I go through it, if you have three different colors, it will help you visualize what I'm about to do here. So whereas before you just had like individual numbers given to you, now you have it categorized like this. So Janice earned the following scores in different categories as seen on the table. Calculate her average score or her mean score. So the first step is multiply. When you see a table like this, what I mean by that is you multiply across, right, the score and the weight. You multiply them like that. So I go times, 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 times. So let's go ahead and do that. Page 39. So 45 times 15 is 675. 39 times 20 is 780. 85 times 25 is 2,125. And the exam, it would be 90 times 40. That's 3,600. So you can tell when you multiply which one gives you the biggest number here. It's the exam. Two reasons why that is. It is weighted the heaviest. It's weighted 40%, right? Out of all the other categories, the exam is weighted 40%. So that's where you want to do the best. As well as the highest score the student actually performed is done where? It's also done where the exam is taking place. So the combination of having the highest score here and it being weighted the heaviest gives you the 3600. So you know that's going to make the biggest impact on your final score. Okay? So you multiply. Step number 2 is add. So I'm going to add these answers that I just got. I'm going to add them up. And I start, at this point, I start making my formula. Okay, so I'll go like this. The average mark is going to be 675 plus 780 plus 2125 plus 3600. You show me that you're adding it all up. Okay. And then the last step is to divide. What do you divide by? That is the question. And here's the answer. Listen carefully to this part because it's going to change a little bit with repetition. We divide. You want to look at, are there percentages present here? You see that there's both actually percentages. Please check if they add up to 100%. So if you add up 45, 39, 85, and 90, you already know this is more than 100%, but we're going to write that down anyways. This is 259%. That's not what we want. That would not be, so far we would not be dividing by 100 as is. Check the weight column. 15 and 20 is 35, plus 25 is 60, plus 40 is 100. Use your calculator if you have to. There's a check for that one. So this means we divide by 100. That's what that means. We'll divide our final answer by 100. So I checked it here, right? Because I had percentages, so I'm going to put the 100 down here. That is where the last step comes in. Make sure that color matches, right? The divide matches this one. That's where I determined it's going to be 100. So let's come up with our final. If I add up all of these numbers, I get 7180 divided by 100. And that is 71.80%. Obviously, this would not be going on the report card. This would be like on my system. I would probably round this to 72% if I like you. If I don't like you, 71. Right? I'm just kidding. But that's how you come up with the average. That's how we do it. Except for, right, in the background, okay, in the background, there's a bunch of quizzes that you've written. There's a bunch of assignments or ACs that you've written. There's 2 cumulatives, right? I would probably have a cumulative section here. So that is all in the background that has been like combined to just this, right? And so this is now approaching our final score, final average. All right. Note, the exam is weighted %, which is the highest. Okay? Therefore, scoring well on it will make the greatest impact. You know what? I could also say if you do bad on it, it's also going to affect you the most, right? Either way, it's going to bring you up if you do well on it. It's going to bring you down if you don't. All right. Just one last thing here. And I'm going to ask you to try this. Remember MAD when it's weighted mean. This last one here. Calculate Janice's average score if every category weight the same. If every category weight the same. Not weighted. Why is the weighted mean greater? I think we've alluded to that already. If you just wanted to find the average and you basically look up here real quick, you're basically getting rid of the weights, right? Every category is the same. Assignment is the same as the exam. It's all, so we're just gonna consider this row, 45 plus 39 plus 85 plus 90. What are we gonna divide by in this case? 4, right? We just have 4 values that we're adding. That'd be 254 over 4, which is 64.75%. 64.75, that's all that you get under these circumstances, because there's no difference between getting a 90 on the exam or like they're all the same. And why is the weighted mean greater? This is the explanation for it. So I need to warn you a little bit. What could you expect with a weighted mean situation? The province does like tables, but not always is there a table. What does that mean, Mr. Dirksen? Well, maybe it will be a word problem. It'll say, Janice scored 45% on the assignment, 39 on quizzes, 85, and so forth. The weights are as follows. Assignments are worth 15%, quizzes are worth 20%, and so forth. Like they'll just lay it out in a problem. The advice I give you is to maybe make a table if you need to, but really it would be the exact same scenario. You just have to make sure you catch it when that happens. Okay? It's always MAD for both of these, like both cases. Anytime it's weighted mean, we're going to use those steps. Okay? The division is going to change a little bit when it comes to repetition. Okay, pages 40 to 41 for now, that's all. I'm going to give you a bit of class time to do that, and then I'll do a backwards example involving a weighted mean scenario. Okay, so pages 40 to 41. Try it. When there's percentages, folks, check to see if it adds up to 100. If it does, you divide by 100 automatically. No need to check further. I might go over this on Monday, but if you want question 5, the answer to that one is 5.58. If you did that right. The answer to the bottom half, I'm going to post the key anyways, but it's 78% if everything were to be the same. But if it's weighted, it's going to be 80.9. That way you have a bit of a reference if you're working through this, whether or not you're doing this right. Okay. I want to do the backwards before we go, and then you get to practice it on the pages that follow. Okay, so let's go to 42. A real quick example here, and it's similar to backwards that we've been doing, but there's a bit of an extra step there towards the end. So this is page 42. Just go to 42 here. So Addy wrote 3 math tests worth 20% of his final grade. So that's kind of odd that, right, they're all the same, but that's okay. He got marks of 75, 80, and 86 respectively. What mark must he get on the final exam worth 40% if he wants a final grade of 86%? Okay, so if you want to have, you know, the score as a percentage and the weight, if this helps you, I will just quickly have that like this. So the first one was 75%, and it has a weight of 20%. The next one scored 80%, it's still weighted 20. The third test is 86%, that's the score. It's also weighted 20%. So it just stands to reason that the exam would have to be 40, correct? Even if they didn't tell you. Because for the final mark, all the categories should add up to 100%. And so this is your unknown. You want to know on the exam, right, what needs to be scored on the exam to get the average of 86%. This is what you want to have at the end of the day. So here it is. You go 86%. We don't have to have the percentages there, no units. 86 is equal to, you still kind of do the mad thing, okay? So I'm just going to show here, it's 75 times 20 plus 80 times 20 plus 86 times 20, but hold it, right? Plus, what's that last category? When you multiply x and 40, what do you get? 40x. That's exactly what you get. And this adds up to 100, right? This category here adds up to 100. So we know we're going to have to divide by 100%. Divide by 100%. That's what it says there, believe it or not. So we've set it up like this. Now you need to clean it up a bit. So let's do that. 86 is equal to, if you come up with individual numbers, which I would highly recommend, this is 1500, this part. This is 1600, this part right here. And 1720 plus 40x. Still all of that divided by 100. Clean it up even more. Okay. 86 is equal to, if you add up these three numbers, you get 4820 plus 40x divided by 100. And now it's time for algebra, right? The first thing we do is we multiply both by 100. So you can go cancel, cancel on this side. 86 times 100 is 8600. Oops, sorry. That is equal to 4820 plus 40x. What are we going to do now? We're going to subtract that. Minus 4820 minus 4820. Cancel, cancel. What are you left with on the right side? 40x, not just x, right? That's how this is different than the regular backwards. If you subtract these two, you get 3780. And now 40 is multiplying x, so we have to divide both sides by 40. Cancel, cancel. So 3780 divided by 40 is 94.5%. It is possible, since it is below 100% that is required. So if you ever do this and your final answer is over 100%, it actually is impossible to get the average you're after. So if you want to practice this, page 43 has one more to practice. So basically, pages 40 to 43 is what I would like you to have completed by Monday. Okay. So, and then we'll do the repetition examples.